A spokesperson confirms the governor is already back in Austin. But who was running Texas while he was out of state campaigning for president? A chain of command more than a century old still says who's in charge. Critics say it's outdated and unnecessary, even costing you more in the long run. Our political reporter Josh Hinkle takes an in-depth look at your acting governor.
On the edge of Houston's Refinery Road, just south of Interstate 10 along the coast, the governor of the state of Texas is busy at work, but it's not what you might think.
Some days I come to work in blue jeans and work boots, and other days I'm in a coat and tie and I go make speeches.
Mike Jackson's a man with many roles. Managing this construction company in LaPorte, serving in the state Senate, running for Congress, and for 15 days so far, filling in for Governor Rick Perry while he's out on the presidential campaign trail.
We don't have any big state crisis or any thing take place that would require any immediate action, but you also know that in the event you do, that's your job to do it.
You know this guy here on the right where my thumb is?
He looks like he might be a nice man. I don't know. Is he good?
What about this guy?
I don't know anything about him, so I'd have to do some research.
My husband, who watches a lot of news, never told me about him.
Here's how it works. When the real governor's out of state, there's a chain of command. First, the lieutenant governor, then the Senate pro tempore, that's Jackson, then the Speaker of the House, the Attorney General, and finally, the Chief Justices of the Courts of Appeals. The acting governor's system is nothing new, but it really flew under the radar since Governor Richard Koch's administration back in 1876, when it probably took a fair amount of time to get back to the state to take charge. It has come up in recent years with presidential campaigns, like 2 governors ago when Ann Richards campaigned out of state for Bill Clinton, and most recently George W. Bush when he ran for president.
You'd think he was in Texas if you didn't know better.
For the first 152 days of Perry's own presidential campaign, his office says he's been out of state 119 times. That's 119 times someone else has been the acting governor. One case, during the September wildfires, Perry rushed back to the state, but flew the next day to California for a debate, leaving Lieutenant Governor David Dewhurst in charge.
We've got a wonderful working relationship, and he knows how this process works as well.
My friend, our next president, Rick Perry.
But during the Iowa caucuses a few weeks ago, Dewhurst joined Perry on the trail. So Jackson took the lead. It's even fallen to the third in line for a day, Speaker Joe Straus.
Governor Perry stays in constant contact with our office, and the governor's office continues to operate as usual.
Also operating as usual, Perry's salary. Even when out of state, he receives his daily $410. And so does the acting governor if it's a full 24-hour period, costing the state an extra $30,000 over the course of the campaign.
Does it surprise you that someone else is stepping into that role?
Well, someone has to.
I guess stuff has to get done.
I think it's absurd. If I left my job for 15 days, I probably wouldn't have a job.
And that but a bunch of bureaucratic bullshit.
Perry's officials say that money's in the budget, but they also admit modern technology usually eliminates the need for an acting governor.
We have internet and cell phones. It's a lot easier for Governor Perry to continue to conduct state business even when he's outside of Texas.
Jackson says his title of acting governor has mostly been just that, a title. To some, it's costly and archaic, but to him, it's simply an honor.
People want to shake my hand and say, hey, I just shook hands with the governor.
In fact, during his 15 days in this role, he's only come close to a gubernatorial duty once. Perry's office briefed him on an upcoming execution for this man, convicted killer Milton Mathis. However, the governor and the lieutenant governor returned to the state before Jackson had to make the life or death decision of granting a pardon, a decision he says he was definitely glad he was able to avoid. Go to KXAN.com right now to find out more about that execution and the Supreme Court controversy that would have made it an even tougher case to weigh. It's all in my political blog, plus an in-depth post about the acting governor system and the Austin judge who would be the first Democrat in line to take the reins. You can find a link in this story on the homepage at KXAN.com. In the studio, Josh Hinkle, KXAN News.